And Meera Sanyal, I wanted to ask you first, when you heard about Nandan Nilekani possibly jumping into the political arena, when you looked at your own experience, it was actually bittersweet in a sense. Here, you know, you quit your big top-paying job, you took a leave of absence, you won less than 2% of the votes in a constituency which is urban, which is rich. And yet, you're still fighting on, you're not giving up.
Absolutely, Nidhi. I think the political narrative in our country needs to change. And while I lost the election, I do believe it was a victory for democracy. At the time when I stood in 2009, many people believed this was kind of a chaotic decision driven by ideals. There were very few independents joining politics at the time. And yet in the last 4 years, I personally have received over 750 mails. I was going through my mails of independents who have stood in panchayat elections and corporate elections, at assembly elections, who've written in and said, listen, we would like to stand as independents, and what advice do you give us? And all I've said is, take a stand. I think it is time that people like us stopped criticizing and analyzing and did something that we believed in. If we believe in the future of the country, we need to take a stand for what is right. This has become a country where political expediency rules the day.
But that sounds very idealistic.
Do what is right.
That sounds idealistic, but you also need to win elections. That's also important. And Mohandas Pai, let me bring you in here, that, you know, independents in particular, can they really do it? If you don't have the cadre, you don't have the volunteers, you don't have the money, you don't have the muscle power, can you survive in this political environment as an independent?
Well, if independents parachute into a constituency like my dear friend Captain Gopinath did, I mean, they will lose. What I would prefer is independents who work their way up through the council, city council elections or the panchayat elections, spend 10, 20 years in public service, become an MLA and then go for an MP, then people will recognize them and trust them because they feel that they've done something for them and they respond to them. So I'm not one for everybody coming on suddenly and saying, I'm going to contest the election, vote for me, because there's no credibility and trust, as people do not feel that you may come again. You are just the flavor of the moment. But Nandan has demonstrated a ability for public service. He spent the last 5 years working for government, handled a very large project. He has great credibility. So I think he will work. And of course, I support Meera. It's a different case for Meera. I mean, she was a idealistic who stood up at one point of time to be a leading light for everybody else to come. But I would say, if you are an independent, come up from the grassroots, take 15, 20 years, you will certainly do very well.
Do you think it's wise of Nandan Nilekani to then join the Congress party, to join an established political party in that sense? And you know him well, because there are a lot of people who also reacted with horror that, oh my God, why the Congress party with its 10-year track record, which is right now being slammed by everyone, or there are many people who react with horror to all mainstream political parties.
Nidhi, there's a problem. Let me explain the problem to you for all of us. All of us are socially liberal, economically conservative. Now look at the two mainstream parties. The BJP is socially illiberal, talks about religion which we don't like, and economically they are conservative. The Congress is socially liberal, economically profligate. They spend all the money on Ponzi schemes. So right now there's no space. So Nandan has chosen what he feels aligns with his personal ideology, and I think he comes closest to the Congress. If the BJP was more liberal, I think he will tend towards the BJP, and that's a challenge all professionals face in this country today.
Rajiv Gowda, though, the point that Derek O'Brien was making in the story was that you need to devote your complete time then to your political life. It can't be, you can't have your day job. Now, you still technically kept your day job. How would you balance it out? Do you agree with him that it has to be a full-time commitment?
Well, you just have to work extremely hard, and something suffers. Most often it's family life. Anyway, the point is that politics is a mission. You know, what Mohandas is talking about, that you need to go out there and develop a credible track record, that people recognize you as someone who will make a difference to them.